Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. We're going to start off with this court stuff. And I'll go through a little bit of it, but ultimately, I feel that Michael has a really good chance of winning because, while Rick did bring out some good stuff overall, as far as the danger and everything like that, there was a lot of weak stuff that was coming from their side. Um, the Dangers have probably the best chance as far as winning because everything else just seems like they're are grasping at straws hard, right? Like one of the things that when Diane is questioning Willow, Willow brings up Germany, right? Going all the way to Germany. And, essentially she's trying to make it seem like that's when Michael abandoned his kids when he went to Germany. And Diane's like, so he went to Germany to get the best possible care. And it's almost like she's there saying, and you consider that abandoning his kids? It almost seems though when she was talking, it's like even she didn't believe that. She didn't even believe that by him going out there to get the best care as opposed to staying in Port Charles would have made sense. But she's going off of that like, oh, I gotta sit there and throw something out to make Michael look bad. One of the things that Diane brought up was their little romp one nursery. Diane Smith, they're bringing up, well, the kids could have came in there and saw, and I'm like, I see where they're going with that, but like, technically the kids could have saw when Michael and Willow were together, because, they're kids, right? Sometimes you accidentally leave the door unlocked and things just, it happens sometimes. So, I don't know if that was exactly the best move to sit there and make, but what else does she bring up? So in the beginning, she asks, "Well, you say that you love your kids, but who would you choose? Who would you choose more, your kids or Drew?" Right? And she's like, "All right, but who would you pick though?" And so she flounders around a little bit, and then she brings up, a couple of things she brought up. Well, one of the things that she brought up was, Willow admitted that the kids wanted to go back home when they were with Drew. When they were with at Drew's place. And see, that's the thing. That's what is being questioned. So she sits there and says that, um, her not being a good wife doesn't mean that she's not a good mother. And that's an argument that I've made since the beginning of this happening. But that's not what she's really on trial for, though. You know, Michael and just this whole thing, this is about you putting your needs ahead of the kids. You went to Drew's place. The kids want to go back and live with the Quartermains, with the rest of the family. But you wanted what you wanted. And so when you do things like that, when you're inconsiderate and you take the kids across state lines, and then you just sit there and say, oh, well, I just assumed that Michael was going to be okay with it. You assumed that Michael was going to be okay with the man who essentially coveting his wife and spending time with his kids. You just assumed that was going to be okay? Really? You didn't even bother to sit there and ask. You just assumed. How is it that you was a teacher and a nurse and it's like certain little things just bounce off of her? Like, how could you just not be that, like, unself-aware or whatever? Now, that's pretty much the end of the proceedings so far. And I just, I'll be surprised if Willow wins. On one hand, like I said, if it's about a danger matter, you know, maybe Willow will win. But if not, Michael's definitely winning. I think he said in the previews, when he wins, he is taking those kids out of the country. He's leaving Port Charles. That's the goal. And I guess the same thing could be said for Willow, right? She wins. She's going to have Drew sit there and whisk her away to Germany. I mean, not to Germany, to DC. Either way, the grandparents are essentially going to be screwed. I'm like, Drew, are you going to sit there and let Molly and Christina and Alexis see the kids, or you just pretty much just like F them as well? Christina, Christina decides to hire Cody to seduce Ava, and he agrees to do it. But see, here's my whole thing. I guess she just somehow forgot that at any point in time, Ava could sit there and make her life a living hell, and her mom's life a living hell by sending them to jail. Now, um, if anything, they'll all go to jail, but you're still poking the bear. You're just trying to do it, and you know what I'm saying, in a less obvious way. And the thing is, it's going to blow up in her face. When it blows up in her face, and Alexa's like, "What the are you doing?" You know, Christina's going to sit there and say, "Well, I couldn't just sit there and just do nothing. I had to do something. I mean, she killed my baby. She pushed me out the window, and you know, it's because of her that you know she drove me to do it." Because she's still going to sit there and say that she drove me to do it. She drove me to cut the brakes. Nobody drives you to do anything. You're a grown ass adult. I don't understand how any of this works when somebody is. And you know, the sad thing is that most people that I've seen in the comment section hasn't sat there and said, "Well, this is Ava's fault that Christina cut the brake lines because she drove her to do it." Except for one person. Um, but yeah, he agrees to do it. It's kind of a daffy ass plan, but okay, sure, whatever. Um, Unfortunately, this is where the episode kind of takes somewhat of a nosedive to some extent. But we'll talk about it though. We got Marty that's broke and has to sit there and live with Laura because, well, he ain't got no money, right? And he's blaming Tracy for this. But ultimately, I'm like, is this really Tracy's fault? Because, you know, he was in jail, whatever, and, you know, his wives cleaned them out. But here's the thing though. If you wouldn't have lied about your payments with the courts as far as your ex-wives is considered, then you wouldn't have been in jail. And you know what? Just since we're just spitballing ideas, maybe you shouldn't have been married so many goddamn times. Clearly, you are not built for marriage. And you got one, two. I would have stopped at the first one. I would have stopped at the first one. You decided to sit there and do that two more times like an idiot. But somehow this is Tracy's fault. I'm gonna vow revenge. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever, bro. Um, Lucky says goodbye to Isaiah, gives him the cabin that he doesn't really seem like he wants, but since he can't give it to anybody else, it seems that Isaiah is stuck with a cabin that he may or may not want. And then he goes and he says goodbye to his mother, which his mother's like, "You're leaving Port Charles, aren't you?" And there's one point. There is one point where he is with Isaiah, and he's kind of sitting there talking about his reasons, or his reason why he's leaving. And he's like, you know, Liz turned me down. And Isaiah's like, you don't really seem that heartbroken about it. Like, yeah, I am, or I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I am, but I know it's the right choice, the right choice that she made. If you knew that was the right choice that she made, then why did you? Part of me is like, why did you even bother to ask? You kind of seem like you just did this shit on a whim. Like, hey, you want to get married? No, because we're different people and love isn't enough. All right. That's how it just seems with him. It's like, yeah, it was the right decision to make. And it's like, you didn't really seem like any of this planned out. Like, it just comes across as so dumb. But, um, I guess they don't want him to sit there and go out a little more heartbroken, but also just kind of just gives more credence into why it was just stupid to sit there and propose to her in the first place. But here we are. Um, Now, one of the things that was really interesting when Portia was talking to Kai about Drew, and Smith is saying that Drew wasn't always this bottom feeding asshole. He was the guy that would always sit there and try to go out of his way to look out for you until he went to prison. See, this is something that everybody has been Smith is saying. Like something must have happened with him going to prison, him having that near life and death experience that just changed him for the worse, right? So it was kind of interesting that they acknowledged that because fans have been sitting there saying that for quite a while, right? Ultimately, the conversation goes nowhere because Portia's like, listen, just because we don't like his ass, don't mean that you got to feel how you want to feel about him. He paid for your surgery. He looked out for you. So if you don't want to turn your back, we ain't gonna be mad at you. Just keep your eyes open. That's all. Um, Trina's not there worrying about Kai and his Drew's influence over him or admiration for him or something. Because at this point, Trina seems like she's just became a background character to her own story, her own love story in a sense. Worrying about Kai, propping up Kai, things of that nature. Um, and Ava, there's a point where Ava's talking about, oh, we're gonna do this for the guy, we're gonna do that, we're gonna get some caviar and yada yada yada. And Trina's like, I thought we were kind of save money. You were trying to tighten the belt a little bit. No, no, no. I'm back in the black. I'm back in the black now, so everything is all good in the hood. Yeah, because you're stealing from my baby. Literally, you are literally stealing from the baby. And Alexis is stupid enough to go along with it. So, all three of y'all actually deserve to go to hell, if we're going to be honest. I mean, just saying. Um, I don't know. Then they talk about Rick and if he's worthy of her or whatever. I don't know. I guess it was supposed to be some sort of sweet moment that just really went over my head. What else? Oh yeah, I almost kind of forgot about the whole Brooklyn thing. Brooklyn vowing revenge on Lulu by using a lawyer to do. We're just gonna assume that it's to sue Lulu, even though she doesn't say it. That's what it is. And of course, then she rehashes over Lois and what Gloria did. Then she plays a game of woulda, coulda, shoulda. Once I found out that Lulu knew, I shoulda did this. I coulda did that. I didn't do this. And of course, Tracy explains to her why playing that game ultimately does not do anything for you. And you should just, you know, be at peace with it. Just deal with the present here and now, and also don't sit there and get caught up in revenge. You got a good life going, especially with your husband. And she talks about her history with her dad and how they were at war for a while and she never found peace. And of course, Brooklyn's like, oh, I'm going to show the world and everyone in it that, Brooklyn's not to be messed with. Yeah, okay, sure, Brooklyn, whatever. And ultimately, that's pretty much where that section goes. Drew's that they're giving himself a pat on the back for doing something very deplorable as far as his own nephew and thinking that he's going to win and they're going to go to DC and live happily ever after. with no complications whatsoever. And of course, by complication, I mean like her family and isolating her from, everybody else. It's really bad when Nina is the voice of reason, right? Nina's the voice of reason. You know that you pretty much just kind of stop. I feel like that's pretty much about it. Yeah, I feel like that's about it. Anyway, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. Come to the live stream tonight. I'm not sure the time when I'm doing it. Maybe 8:30, maybe 8 o'clock, maybe 9. I feel like it's gonna be 8. I do. I didn't really. I skimmed through days, and it's part 2 of John's funeral, and I watched Young and the Restless yesterday. So it's just Beyond the Gates and B&B, and those are B&B is short as shit. So it's kind of getting good right now for B&B standards anyway. Anyway, if I miss anything, write in the comment section below. Come to the live stream tonight. I'll be sneaking talking about all 5 of the soaps. And also, just another thing. After today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I won't be live streaming and I won't be putting any videos because I kind of have somewhat of a 3-day wedding event. Friday, I'm leaving the hotel, but I'll be catching up to Thursday's episodes of, pretty much everything. Um, and that's going to be carrying over to Friday, and then Friday's going to be carrying over to Saturday. So, yeah. But anyway, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below, or come to the live stream, or do both. And I'll see you soon.